Waiting. We are live.
Woo!
Hello.
And now I'm waiting for my, I gotta wait for the chat to start. Come here. Fine.
Woo!
There we go.
Let's see if I can have Hangouts and YouTube open at the same time.
I really wish I had two computer monitors because I got like 5 different things open at one time. And
Yeah, that's the way to go. I have two monitors at work, and it's like the world's best.
I mean, I actually have another monitor over here, but this is my dual work setup, and I don't use that for personal stuff. So in case somebody's looking at the monitor behind me and saying, but Rachel, there's a second monitor right there.
I have 2 monitors. The problem is this computer is so loud. I bought and, specifically designed to be able to do some of my YouTube work, but not like full-time video editing, which is what it ended up doing like 6 months after I bought it and has been doing for 3 years. 2 years? Sometime anyway. So it's tight and makes a lot of noise. Can you guys hear my fan that's on in the background, by the way? Because it's on its quietest setting, but
I don't really hear anything.
Yeah.
Let's good because it's real warm.
Hey, Anna. Hey, Michael.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, KJ.
Hello, everyone.
Yay.
I was going to write in the chat, but then I got distracted because my ADHD brain apparently can't handle more than one thought at a time.
Yeah.
All right, we want to go around and introduce ourselves. I will start since y'all are on my channel. My name is Rachel. My channel is Colonati. And yeah, I don't have anything else to say about myself today. It's just been one brain freeze of a day.
Hey, I'm Bree. My channel is Bree Reads Books. I read a lot of science fiction, and I talk a little bit about political theory and how it intersects with literature.
I'm Reija. I'm from the channel The Bookfinch, and I talk a lot about...
I guess I'll go. My name's Anna. Oh, was someone talking? Because my computer might have been doing the thing where sound was not coming through again.
It's fine. Rhea was in the middle of it.
Oh, okay, so I can't hear Rhea again.
You can't?
Did you hear her just talk?
Nope.
Okay.
Like I can hear everyone else, but I can't hear Rhea. I'm gonna hang up and come back and see if that helps.
Okay. Rhea, why don't you finish your reading?
Okay, so as I was saying, I talk mainly about fantasy books. Sometimes I dabble into like science fiction and contemporary. I'm a bit of an omnivorous reader, and also I talk about manga and anime because I'm a weeb. And
And I'm Claire. My channel is Claire Russo, and I read science fiction, fantasy, comics, and fan fiction. I am currently trying to read a bunch of award finalist books because for the BookTube SFF Awards, and also because I actually fancy everything on the Hugo. So I'm going to try and read it, and that goes because I try and fail every year.
You back, Diana?
I'm back. I don't know. So I can hear Claire. I can hear Rachel. I can hear Bree.
Rhea, you want to say something?
I can hear Rhea now.
Yay!
Victory!
I swear this is like, I have no idea what causes this, but it always seems to happen to me.
It's fine. There's always it seems like there's always, some kind of technical issue.
And it always feels
rotates a bit who it is, so.
Yeah. I feel
I'm
like
having to turn on my second, a separate computer to like look at the comments and everything because like I'm on a tiny Chromebook and it's not happy with doing two things at one time. So
Oh no.
I'm leaving it just for Hangouts.
All right, Diana, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, sorry about that earlier. My name's Diana, aka Bookish. I just started my BookTube channel a couple months ago, and I tend to read mostly science fiction, fantasy, although I'm currently reading a couple of soccer-related books in preparation for the Women's World Cup next month.
Cool. Well, now do we want to talk about what we're working on? Yeah, should I go first?
Yeah.
I'm not actually working on my book blanket today. I found my extra skein of this particular yarn, so I am making a shawl. I don't know how well you guys can see that.
I like the pattern.
Oh, it's so pretty.
This is the Lost in Time shawl, but done as a back and forth rows, like a rectangle instead of the V shape. So I love the texture of it.
Yeah, it looks really cool with the little scallops.
Yeah. I don't know what that technique is called, but it looks really neat.
I have no idea either.
Lots of front post and back post double crochets. So
I'm working again on this shawl that I started after EasterCon because I went to EasterCon yarn that the yarn dyer, I don't know. Anyway, the person who makes gorgeous hand-dyed yarn for a third Volt yarn made this, and I don't know how well you can see because the lighting situation is weird right now. But it's really beautiful. I'm using a pattern called There and Back Again, which has a couple of like knit and then yarn over, which makes these little like holes in the knit. And so basically it's just going to be doing chevrons like in one direction and then the other. But you know, it's got a Hobbit reference, therefore I had to get it because I'm trash. So anyway, I had to undo like 3 things of it after last live stream because I was very tired and missed a bunch of stuff. So I'm gonna have to be real careful that I don't mess it up again this time.
that's what I'm kind of worried of. I'm working on this and I don't actually have the pattern with me. And I know I'm going to screw it up and I'm going to have to rip it back.
I have the pattern with me and I'm following.
So I am not working on my book blanket today. Hopefully later on I will. I have to cut a few of the pieces so I can start sewing it later again. But because I have been a procrastinator extraordinaire, I have to work on convention badge designs, which I unfortunately can't show you because they are still on the sketch phase, but I am the artist for next year's Disobey. So I need to work on their
Congratulations.
badge art.
Nice.
So that's what I'm doing today. I'm just sketching away.
Cool.
I'm working on my book scarf. It's getting very, very long.
Have you measured it? How long is it now?
Hold on, I've like had to start tying it to like actually work on it because it is.
Oh my god!
Oh, wow.
It is very much going to be a Doctor Who type scarf where it's just ridiculously long and colorful.
I kind of love that about it, though.
It's gonna be long enough after you can wrap yourself like head to toe in the scarf and be a rainbow mummy. That's when you know that it's long enough.
I definitely could. I was trying to see if I could get Carrie to model it, but she's not interested in it.
So I was working on this little diamond pattern, but I had a mystery, like, couple of missing stitches that for the life of me I could not find. So I got very frustrated, and I'm now just casting on. I'm going to do a pattern called Dragon Belly that's available on Ravelry.
Nice.
Yes, and
I
hopefully I
want
will
to
have
know what this looks like.
How dragony is it?
It's not terribly dragony. The really dragony one that I want to do is a knit one, and I have that. It's super, super fine yarn.
Is
that I will drop.
I think you might have shared that with us a few months ago, the one where it looks like the 3D dragon scale type.
Yeah,
thing.
like the cowl one. Are you working
Yeah.
on that?
I've done maybe 20 rows of that, but it's so complicated. I don't want to do it on here because I would be like losing track of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to do that. I wanted to do the dragon cowl in this yarn. Like, I was literally texting. I was in the group DM going like, Rachel, what was that pattern with the dragon scales I wanted? And the thing is, because it's 3D, I looked at the yardage on the pattern and I showed it to the lady at the store. Like, that would probably take like, 6 skeins or something like that. And, these are expensive.
Yeah.
Like, I was fine treating myself, and I think it's a nice thing to treat yourself with, but not 5 to 6 skeins of it.
No.
Like 2 skeins was already pushing it.
Like, I'm planning on doing the dragon scale one, the crochet one, but without the hood, just the capelet part for my like Ireland yarn project. And I had to figure out how much yarn it's going to be, but there's no way I can buy like special hand dyed yarn for it. I'm going to have to get just more generic stuff in Dublin for it.
Because
expensive.
Because Third Vault Yarn is coming to Dublin, and she has told me she is creating like a specific dye just for Worldcon. Yet, but she's working on that, and she's going to have like a specific Worldcon yarn. It's going to be great, but like, yeah, I mean, this is like, I think it's like £16 a skein, and it's just
expensive.
Like, yeah, it's not a big. You don't. Yeah.
Like I said,
one skein project.
Depending on what it looks like, I might ask one of you to like buy me one and then ship it to me.
Yeah, for sure.
You can do that.
I mean, it's really good for, putting in your luggage and cushioning things. It's not heavy like a book.
Yarn is great packing material.
This is true.
Also, yarn isn't very expensive to ship because it's like really light. And
but I mean,
you don't have to like.
Rachel or Brie can take it back and ship it from the US. It's probably cheapest that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, true, definitely. But considering like shipping and packing materials and stuff, you just have to put it in a bubble wrap envelope and you're good to go.
No, that is very true. It's just, yeah.
Partner just came in because he's apparently watching this live and saw me mention the convention, and he's like, please advertise my convention so I can show you the badges that were like last year's. They're like electronics.
Oh, that's so cool!
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
With the last year's art.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That is neat.
The badges for that convention are always electronic. So
is that in Helsinki?
Yeah. It's sort of like what's the word? Network security convention, basically a hacker convention, kind of like DEFCON,
cool.
But like more legit, maybe.
I don't know.
Like less black hat, let's put it that way.
Oh, I see what you mean. Sorry, I was just like, this is not my, I'm just like, I can talk to you about all the Worldcon bids for the next, like 6 years or something. But I don't really do other conventions. Like, I've only started just branching out outside of 9 Worlds and Worldcon. to EasterCon, which was great.
Well, to be fair, me neither, but I kind of got wrestled into this gig because everyone was like, so I hear you can draw. And I was like,
Things
possibly.
that people who can draw hear all the time. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, you must have misheard when I was saying that I can be commissioned for drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sympathize so hard with your thing where you're like, I have exciting convention stuff, but I can't tell you because I'm on the program team for Dublin. I'm working on the literary program. That means like basically the biggest part of the program, like all the panels with authors and stuff.
All the cool stuff.
Well, that's how I feel about it. But yeah. There's a bunch of stuff happening, and we've just sent out emails to say like, hey, we're putting you on program, like what name do you want to be on program? And emails saying like, sorry, you're not on program this time around. So it's like starting to trickle out for people, but it's not going to be like public for a while, like what the actual program is. And I'm just like, I can't wait because I want to hear what people think.
Yeah,
looking at it for so long.
I mean, currently I have to get these like sketches out later today. So I'm like really behind the schedule because school
today isn't it like 9:30?
Yeah, I know. Actually,
I'm sorry, that was completely uncalled for. I'm so sorry.
Like, it's funny because every time I have these ideas, they kind of are in my brain. But then I kind of like, I have this really clear idea of what I want to do, and then I don't do it because I'm like, well, I have like, it's in my head, I can do it later. And then I procrastinate until it's like 2 hours before deadline. And then I'm like, shh.
Well, someone has ADD.
Yeah. I have, like literally. It's on paper.
No, I know. That's why I'm saying, because you mentioned it earlier. Like, otherwise, I mean, I think I knew about it before, but I wouldn't bring it up if you hadn't brought it up. But yeah, I was supposed to record genre-wise before this so that I could edit it afterwards while John is watching.
I was supposed to film my wrap-up today, and that didn't happen either.
Anyway.
Speaking of Hugo Awards,
sorry,
have
Rachel,
downloaded the Hugo voters packet yet? I have not.
No, because I still need to buy my supporting membership, but I haven't yet because, look, in my defense, I got hit with some very big pet.
This is true.
Yeah.
True.
This past month, in addition to buying some airline tickets. So,
Rachel, did you get the email like for the actual voting?
Yeah, I got the email with all the information. I was going to download the packet before this, and I ran out of time.
If you go on the voting, it's the packet is on the actual ballot.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go on the ballot, the packet is like, I was expecting a separate link to be somewhere, but basically I'm assuming it's in order for you not to share it with other people. But if you log into like, if you get the email and it has your personal ballot, if you log into that, then for each category, there is a little download link so that you can download a zip file per category. And I'm assuming it's also easier like than having like a massive zip of everything. Because especially the art and comics and that, it can be really heavy.
I think I heard from some folks that there are some things that are on NetGalley.
Yeah, that's happening a lot more. Like they have these like time sensitive links. You got to go get it from NetGalley pretty soon before the link expires. I'm not a huge fan of that because it does affect your NetGalley reviewer score. They count it as something that you download and need to give feedback on.
I mean, look, the thing is, I hate the NetGalley reviewer score with the passion of a thousand, because, you know,
You're not the only one.
I mean,
And it
you know,
stresses me out for no reason.
exactly. It's
That's
really
the reason why I've
stressful.
basically stopped using NetGalley right now, is I'm so worried about that number. I'm just avoiding it.
Like, first
It
of all,
doesn't
it's
mean anything, because I have probably one of the worst scores ever, and I still get approved. So what's even the point?
But it's not that, like, a lot of people are getting things. If you have a big enough like platform, people will just offer you stuff, and then if you don't read them, but I mean, it's shitty because it just codifies the idea that like you are owing something to the publisher because they give you they give you an arc, and it's like, I can understand if they get a bit irritated when they spend money making a small run of arcs that costs more money to make of the book because it's a tiny run, and often they make them look really fancy and stuff, and then they send them out to reviewers. If people don't review, like, I get why they would be irritated. I think, you know, it's still not, it shouldn't be mandatory or anything, but I understand in that case you're like counting it as a loss of money. But like an e-galley, like, you're still having to put in all the production costs of an ebook, whether you're making an e-galley or not, because you're book. And so then you can't even say like ebook costs money to make, which they do. That's already spent by the public. Anyway, I hate NetGalley so much. But also the voter packet is still relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff that I've heard that's on NetGalley is the Lodestar. Nominees a Lodestar finalist, which is the Young Adult Award. And so, you know, that's very recent, even more recent than the voter packet. It only started a couple years ago, and YA publishers are not used to the idea that you give things to the Hugo voters, that you give things away to them that they won't buy. So if that's the only way that they can get things in the voter packet, then, you know, considering the fact that a couple years ago Orbit was like, oh, we have 5 things nominated, that we have like nominated out of 6, you guys are only getting excerpts.
I remember that.
By the way, one of those books, if I recall correctly, was the Mur Lafferty clone murder mystery book.
6 weeks. It's because it's from
6 weeks.
Orbit. Orbit never provides.
It wasn't even published in the UK at the time. If I wanted to read it, I mean, I got a copy from Mur because she's my friend. But like, if a to read it in the UK, they just couldn't at all. And like, it's just, I mean, you know, in fairness, I don't think that it was gonna win anyway, because, you know, N.K. Jemisin was doing something more ambitious than that particular book. But like, also numbers wise, it just was really, really in a bad position. Anyway. Voter packet though, it's got like loads of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying not to feel too entitled and happy about
good.
it, because it is a privilege that we get the voter packet in the first place, and there's some excellent stuff in it every year.
Yeah, and also like, it's something that, you know, with more and more categories and more things to read, it's actually super helpful to not have to buy all of it, because many people wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, I'm going through actually right now. I'm just downloading the 2019 voter packets. But it looks like they're segregated by category, which is actually super, super convenient. That is really
I think they usually do that. I mean, I usually don't download the whole thing. There are just some categories like fan writer. I'm sorry. I don't even vote or nominate in those categories anymore. So,
well, yeah, and also, I mean, fan writer, it's, I mean, for me, if there's someone I've never heard of at all in fan writer, I'll go and try and read their stuff. But mostly I've heard of the people, and I know what kind of stuff they write, and I know if I like the kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if a name shows up in a category and I don't recognize it, I'm going to go out and Google them anyway, because I'm like, how did I miss this person?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to make sure that you didn't miss this person because of, reasons that are not legitimate.
Yeah. So it looks like we've got, at the very least, files for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a cat.
This is Soren. Soren is mad that I am not paying attention to him and only him.
Oh.
Soren can't walk straight. He has a brain issue, but he is the sweetest of the cats.
He is.
Yes. So he will be probably on and off of my lap throughout the entire thing because he's a mama's boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna put in a rule for cat people, by the way. If you have a cat in your lap, you have to start talking so that the camera goes on you.
Oh, that's fair.
Mm.
That's fair. This was mostly just a convenient coincidence that I was talking at the time.
I think Carrie's mad at me because she's been hiding under the bed the last few days.
No.
I mean,
She had a lot of vet visits.
She had a lot of, yeah.
Yeah, and
Poor baby.
she's getting stabbed with needles daily to give her fluid, so she's also not pleased with me.
Yeah. I can understand.
Mine just left and is now playing around on the stove, which we have on
Well,
child.
that's great.
Well, we have a child lock on it because of him, so it won't go on. And it's an induction stove, but still, it's annoying when he does that.
That's really funny.
No, that's really funny.
I think I am up to date on the only Lodestar nominee that I haven't read is Invasion by Peter O'Gwen, but I have read the first one, The Call. I read that last year after seeing him on panel.
Oh, what's
I
he
never heard
good?
of the author or the books before, so I'm kind of curious what they are.
They're kind of oh gosh. They remind me of like not The Enchanted Forest. Rhea, what's the manga where the kids are at school and they can't leave the school and Neverland?
Promise Neverland, yes.
The Promised Neverland. They remind me of the Promised
They are at
Neverland.
an orphanage and they can't leave.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of that. But I enjoyed the first one. He was on a panel for ace representation and like stuff like that in his books, and he was talking about how one of his characters is meant to be read and coded as ace, although I don't think it was explicitly written in the book.
I was just going to ask, have you read it, and what was your opinion on that? My
Yeah,
ears picked up, but
I definitely can see knowing going in that one of his characters was ace. Like I was able to point that out. I don't know if I would have noticed it in the moment if I hadn't known. But I'll be interested to see, because this is the second book in that series, if he goes ahead and makes that like explicit, because they're still fairly young kids who that might not just be part of their conversation yet or like part of their vocabulary.
yeah, I could see that. I may have to check that out then, especially since I think both books are in the voter packet.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're really, really short too.
Okay.
I mean, they're not really short, but they're quick reads.
Yeah, I did get Tess of the Road. I just got my hold in. But I was watching your review, Bree, and I was like, I don't actually know if I'm in the right headspace to read this one.
I just watched Bree's review like a couple of hours ago, and I'm really mad at the person who has that book right now, and I'm next in line to get it. And I'm like, if I knew who you are, I would go bang your door and like, please read faster because I need this book.
I actually have it checked out right now. It's sitting on my library shelf.
I really enjoyed it
as well. Let's see, just a second. I'm pretty sure I have it bookmarked on Scribd. So if it hasn't like decided suddenly that it's not available in the UK.
Well, I haven't seen if it's in the voter packet. I should actually look at that.
I'm pretty sure it is. I thought I saw something on file 770 that was like everything except for one thing in that category is
Yeah,
Something there.
File 770 has and it's like the first thing on there, like, or it was this. It's got a thing that's like everything that's in the voter packet or not, and so it can tell you straight away.
Yeah,
Like in
there's
one space instead of having to go look it up.
Do
But yeah,
that-
Test of the Road is as an audiobook on Scribd if people are interested in that.
It's also, it looks like it's available in the voter packet. I can't open it up to see if the EPUB is the full complete book, but
Well, let me just check File 770.
Yeah,
It has its uses.
Susan said she thinks Test of the Road is on NetGalley. Same with Children of Blood and Bone and the October Day series.
The Toby Day series is on NetGalley as well.
That's what Susan was saying.
That's weird because, like, and I mean, obviously, if Susan.
did Claire just freeze?
Yes, Claire just froze.
But like,
There we go.
didn't they have the entire like encrypted series, like 7 books or something last time?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know. That's
I'm
just
dumb.
what I saw Susan say.
Yeah.
So
I would swear that the Toby Day series has been offered before because I'm pretty sure I have a NetGalley download of all the books. So I think it was.
Was it in the first?
it was.
Was it nominated in Helsinki for the first best series? The one that was like
yeah. Does that mean this is the first series that's been nominated twice in the best series category?
Yes.
It would be a shonen series that would do that.
That's interesting.
Well, she's been on every. I mean, it's only been here 3 years, but she's been on every year because Encrypted was on.
Yeah.
Well, she is very prolific. She is very much that kind of, like, obviously, her books feel very fresh and modern and whatever, but like in terms of how she writes, of how much she writes, she certainly feels like one of those traditional, like, SFF authors that has like a million series going all at the same time. Like, she literally made the Mira Grant pen name because there was going to be too much Sean and Maguire coming out like all the time every year. That was one of the reasons. But anyway, let's see, because I'm on the File 77 page right now. Lodestar, The Bells isn't on the packet. Children of Blood and Bone is on NetGalley for the full book. The Cruel Prince is on NetGalley with an excerpt. Dread Nation is a PDF with an excerpt and a watermark. The Invasion is Kindle files or EPUB files of both books, the 2 books.
Okay.
And Test of the Road is on NetGalley full. So yeah, that's actually a really detailed rundown.
Yeah.
If people want to go check that out, I'm not sure I can actually put a link in the chat because I don't have powers. No, I do.
I'll make a note to link it in the description when the.
No, I just managed to link it. I guess your channel doesn't have. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you can't put links in if you're not a mod, but it was fine. So.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, the novels seem to have the full novel available.
That doesn't surprise me. It also doesn't surprise me that Peter Gwyn his stuff is fully available, if only because I think that like that seems to like something that he would have made a point of going through and making sure that was available.
Is he self-published?
He's not self-published. I think he's through Scholastic.
Oh. Because sometimes I wonder if authors are able to make that call themselves or if it's really up to the publishers.
I would presume that it was up to the publishers more than anyone else.
Yeah.
I would presume it's up to whatever kind of contract they have with the publisher.
Yeah, I would assume that it's up to the publisher, and that if you are expecting it to be a thing, you can get your agent to negotiate for it at sales time. But yeah. I mean, like, not to be, I think there are authors, in particular some authors in the best novel list who, like, without being like big-headed or whatever, can kind of say this is probably going to be a contender. You know, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, like imagine being N.K. Jemisin going in with your third.
Yeah, right,
But
exactly.
it drives me crazy that Orbit only ever does excerpts. That's it.
I mean, that must just
They've
be
only ever done excerpts in the voters packet for all of Jemison's books.
Chelsea's joined us.
Hello, friends.
Hello.
Hello, friends. Oh no.
Yeah. Claire, your white balance is going funky.
Yeah, I have no idea how to fix that because I'm on like a really not great computer, but also like the sun is going down and down, so it's probably going to get better relatively soon. Yeah, you've just caught me at a really bad time because I have a west-facing window and it was literally like blinds completely closed for like an hour prior to this because it was impossible to like be in the same room. It was too warm. Anyway, how
now
are you
I'm just
doing,
going
Chelsea?
through.
I'm good. What are we talking about, friends?
We're complaining about the Hugo voter packet. Well, in fact, we're complaining about.
We shouldn't complain too much. It's still free stuff, but I am going to complain about Orbit.
We're griping specifically about NetGalley links and stuff like that, and then also watermarked PDFs and also excerpts instead of like.
Ooh, are they watermarked? I haven't opened any of the PDFs yet. They're watermarked.
And I can't.
They're not all watermarked, but File 770 has like a rundown of everything that's in the packet or not. Yeah.
Gross.
And it explains exactly what's in what form. So it will say PDF or watermark PDF or whatever. And I think it was KJ who was pointing out earlier that it's none of the stuff is actually like good for Apple. Is good for iBooks, and so she wasn't able to.
Last year, at least, I had to change pretty much every single file on the eLibra to is it an EPUB or MOBI file, so that they work, so that because they don't have backwards compatibility with older Kindle models.
Right.
So I had to go through
Kindle
every
files.
single.
That's not the publisher. That's just Kindle files being shit. But.
Well, and I hate having to look at PDFs on my Kindle. So anybody who just sent along a PDF form, the odds of me actually reading it go down severely because I hate pretty much all methods of having to read a PDF file.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
And there were, lots of them sent several options, but the ones who just sent PDFs, I was like, well, there that goes.
Gotta go get it from the library instead.
Yeah, I was happy to see all the novels included this year. That was good, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of the fiction is included. The question of the format then is a bit more. But yeah, the NetGalley thing is mostly mostly the Lodestyle because, again, I'm assuming it's YA publishers or YA imprints that are like, why should we care about the Hugos? It's relatively new. Yeah,
I don't know what that is. I don't know why.
Hang up and join back in because I can't hear Chelsea now.
Oh, jeez.
Your computer doesn't want you to have nice things.
This is a different computer. This is my super old computer, and I'm not sure what's causing this. I'll be right back.
Okay. I don't know.
You'd think they'd be really interested in any type of like Hugo's have a really long history, so pretty much any sort of category that is in like the same conversation and sphere as the Hugos is a pretty big deal, even though it is new.
I mean, but you also have to consider that like science fiction fandom, like at the Hugos and at Worldcon and stuff, has traditionally pretty solidly rejected most YA stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
That is very true.
Well, and there's the Hugos are big with like intra community, and they're probably the biggest award for SFF. But there's still a lot of genre specific awards that, for the most part, kind of don't catch the general attention of like the book world as like an entire whole. I don't know. The YA books that got recommended are super popular, so I could see if YA publishers didn't quite want to let go of the potential dollars or readership or
Which is weird.
whatever.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be more popular and have more sales than science fiction for adults.
Mhm. I agree. I am one of those few people who doesn't as much care about the NetGalley ratios because it's an automatic, like I get auto approved, like it's just a kind of a fucked up service. So I use it for what it's there for, and then don't much mind if the reviews I submit aren't exactly like to the highest caliber. So it doesn't bother me as much. I just think it's a weird accessibility issue. Like, what if you don't have a NetGalley account? What if you don't want to go through the entire process of setting that up and having that be a thing so that you can get access to these couple? And obviously, like, that's what the library's for. That's what purchasing books is for and stuff. But it's just a weird accessibility thing that I think is kind of odd.
Hi,
Agreed.
I'm back. I can hear Chelsea now.
Yay!
Can you hear me still?
And now I can't hear Rhea.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Hashtag YouTube problem.
Yeah.
I think this is the problem. Google Hangouts really doesn't like certain computers or web browsers and stuff. I've had that problem for myself in the
It might be my
past.
browser, so I'm gonna switch browsers.
Okay.
Good luck, Di.
Thanks. I'll be
Use
back.
Chrome.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Chrome is probably like when you want to use any sort of Google related stuff.
I mean,
Go
I have to
Chrome.
tell you that I had a lot of problems with this Chromebook because it wouldn't actually work. Like, this Chromebook is the reason I had to turn off two-factor authentication on like my various Gmail accounts for a while. There's been an update now, so it's fine. But like for a while, literally Google two-factor authentication messed up my Chromebook, which is a Google typing machine.
Yeah.
Like,
That's really weird.
If you want an open source version of Chrome, use Chromium. It's like you can download it. It's made for Linux originally, but you can download it for any device now, and it's basically Chrome's like it uses the same sort of like source code, but it's modified to work better. And it doesn't send your data to Google.
Oh,
So-
that's nice. I consider that. I mean,
That's
I'm going to
nice.
forget about it, quite frankly.
Also, that data boat has definitely sailed. Google knows more about me than anybody in the entire universe, and it's too late for
Yeah.
that. So.
No, that is very true.
I mean, Google has been sending me notifications about childcare products for like
Yeah.
2 years now. So they're like, have you considered you're getting old?
Oh god. Do
Please
you feel
don't.
your clock ticking, Rhea?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like in the UK, one of the you know when you're at the self-service checkout in a store and you want to buy like painkillers or Red Bull, something that's like age restricted or booze, right?
Yeah.
You have to get the person to come and say like this person is 21 or whatever.
Mhm.
In the UK, there's this shop called Tesco where when that happens, they beep their little like card, and there is the most passive-aggressive message on screen where it's like either I check the customer's ID or the customer is clearly above the age of 21. And it was like, oh, well, fucking burn, Tesco. I'm gonna go get more alcohol now. You don't look 25 either, Tesco. It's the most British thing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, someone's pointing out that no one talks about Internet Explorer anymore, but I think all of the new versions of Internet Explorer are actually Internet Edge.
Well,
Even
here's-
the Internet Explorer's bad
Microsoft-
jokes have gone stale, so.
Microsoft themselves has publicly admitted that Internet Explorer should not be used and is not a modern web browser.
Yeah, and also like Internet Explorer is called Internet Exploder for a reason.
I heard that.
It's like, for real, even back in the day, it was one of the weakest browsers ever. And that's why people use things like Opera and Safari, because, like, it's not safe. And also, if you use Internet Edge, you are basically letting Microsoft monitor your computer use. Like, Internet Edge is basically a backdoor to your computer. So it's even worse than Chrome. Like, you're sending your browsing data to Google, okay, but if you use Edge, you're sending pretty much everything from your friggin' keystrokes. So so basically, in theory, you could send them your passwords.
I mean, look, also, they've been in legal trouble for a reason. Like, the way that they make computers, where it's like, oh, you have a computer with an operating service. Let me install all this other crap you don't want because,
Yeah, like the first 6 hours of getting a Microsoft computer out of the box is uninstalling all the shit that it came with that you don't actually want on your computer and don't need.
Yep, for sure.
And then the like 6 updates that it somehow didn't come with fresh from the factory because...
One of my favorite things about one time a friend of mine, when I was just getting started, one time a friend of mine helped me build a computer where like we figured I was learning about selecting parts and stuff. And then he built it for me and like put everything together because he worked in a computer store.
Yeah.
And one of the best things ever is he was saying like, because I work in a computer store, I have a tool that allows me to like bypass, to have like an entire screen that's just like, do you want this installed, or do you want it to like start at the start of the computer and all that? Do you want the program to start itself? All of these things that you have to kind of like uninstall one by one. He just had a button that was like select all or select none, and then you could like customize it, and it was beautiful. It came in and it had nothing that started at the start of it, that just turned itself on. It was great. I miss that computer. Anyway, books are a thing that we have.
Yeah, so we're entering our second hour of the live show now, so we should talk about what we're currently reading.
Good plan, friends.
So I'm reading Cersei because
the Madeline Miller.
Yes.
How is that? I haven't read it yet, but I fucking adore Song of Achilles.
Song of Achilles is so good.
It's so good, Ria. Oh my god, it's so good.
I'm having feels just thinking about it right now. I read it like a year ago, and I'm like,
that's one of like a handful of books I reread probably every like 18 months or so, because it's just so good. Anyway, how's Cersei?
So the prose is gorgeous. I'm not very far in because it's taking me a while to read because the prose is like kind of dense, right? I mean, it's just really beautiful, really like it's really, really intricate prose, and it's really beautiful. But like so far, I'm only in like, so the story is that Cersei, we know obviously as the witch that Odysseus meets on an island when he's coming back from the Trojan War, and she changes all his men into pigs.
She's the pig witch.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. But that's what we know about her in kind of like, if you haven't really done like mythology or whatever, that's probably what you know. That's what I knew. And so in this, it starts with her it starts actually with like her parents' marriage. So she's a daughter of Helios, who is a sun god, who's, job, quote unquote. What he does is every day every night at night he goes with his chariot across the sky, and that's the sun like setting and rising. And so it's really interesting because all of these like gods and figures of mythology and like people that you might have already heard of. I just got to a bit where Scylla of like Charybdis and Scylla, the whatever their names are, they're sea monsters. So Scylla has like literally just been turned into a sea monster. It's pretty cool. But all these like, like she talks about how her father is literally made of gold and shines, and how like everybody thinks she's real ugly because she has like some brown in her hair and she's not like molten gold completely like her sisters. And it's, she's clearly the ugly duckling. She's, everybody's mistreating her and like treating her like shit because she is the daughter of a god, but she's not got any powers. And it was prophesied that she would marry a prince or a king, but not a god. She would marry a mortal because she's kind of she's kind of shit. So she can't marry a god. And so like, so far, I just want her to burn everything because everybody's being a dick. So at some point, she's going to like go back
right, sure.
and have a wicked moment, like,
That sounds about right for Greek mythology.
Yeah.
No, everybody's terrible. I'm just a bit concerned because I have heard that there is rape in the story, and I'm like, I mean, also Greek mythology, so if there wasn't, it would be weird, right? Because there's a lot of that.
There's no consensual sex in Greek mythology. Just like there just isn't.
But yes, there is one scene of rape in the book.
Yeah.
Not explicit, but it's very clear what's happening.
Yeah, so I'm, I don't want to read,
I'm
not looking forward to reading that, but
generally I have a lot more faith in women writing those kinds of scenes usually, because most like if you're any good as a writer and if you have any empathy, then you tend to approach the topic with a little more like gravitas and like, what's the word?
Sensitivity?
Yeah, that's the word. So, like...
So does anyone watch Game of Thrones?
Nope.
Shut your dirty mouth, Claire. We don't have time for that conversation. We don't have time for that conversation if we want to finish before the next Game of Thrones tonight.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like you could like...
I don't work Monday mornings, so I can watch. I don't work Mondays, so I can watch that tomorrow.
That whole show is like it could like you could do like 5 podcast episodes just for.
Oh yeah.
Unpack everything.
I'm so glad it's ending. Like I love that show and I've liked it for a long time, and I'm so glad it's almost over. I can't do it anymore.
I haven't watched since the 5th season. Like I haven't watched since the 5th season was the rapiest season.
Yeah, that's true. There was a really good Twitter thread earlier. Well, I saw it earlier today, but like making the rounds, a really good Twitter thread about like why the difference in writing, and it's not that like they're bad writers and Martin is a good writer necessarily, although I'm sure that plays, but about how like George R. R. Martin is like writes by the seat of his pants, basically, like he's a discovery writer.
I would say they're bad writers because
no, they're also bad, but they're by necessity, if nothing else, they have to be like planners. They have to write to an outline, quite a strict outline.
Also, unpopular opinion, don't actually think that George R. R. Martin's that great a writer. He's a wonderful storyteller, but I think his writing is like serviceable to functional at best. It's not like he's like floored in his print. Like he's just a great storyteller, and that like the fact that he was able to do that while also like being a spontaneous writer is like
I think
mind-boggling to me.
Okay, I think his prose is not the greatest, but I think his character work is really good.
And I
See, I just think it varies so widely depending on who you're talking about and what book you're
That
in.
is true.
I think
So
Martin's greatest strength is that he really listens to he really listens to his readers, and he listens to the kind of political climate. For example, he like the character of Tyrion is completely different in book 1 compared to already book 2. He got a lot of criticism for how he wrote his dwarfism and how that played out in the first book. So he changed it up, and also when he got flack for not having POC point of view characters, he introduced Dornish point of view characters who are POC. So it's not perfect by any means, and like even though I like the books very much and I'm a huge fan, I will be the first to say that the books have like a ton of issues. But I think that one of the best things about Martin as a writer is that he is willing to adapt his writing, and he's willing to like he doesn't compromise with his characters or the story, but he does improve based on critique.
And I feel like it's one of those things where, however you feel about Martin, like the writer, like you can't deny the influence he's had on the way we view potential outcomes for characters and the way we view potential like narrative shifts. Like his willingness to kill anybody and his willingness to do just about anything has made reading fantasy and high fantasy contemporarily like a different experience. And he's been writing these books over what, like 20 years, 15 years, some crazy long amount of time.
The first one came out in either 1996 or 1994.
So that is, yeah, a solid 20 years.
Yep.
Well, should we get back to talking about what we're currently reading? I don't know if
Yes.
I'm just
Diana,
Finished.
Diana, what are you currently reading?
So I just finished this morning Alyssa Cole's Unconditional Freedom, which is really good.
It's so good.
No, it's the third book in her Loyal League series. It's set in the Civil War, and they're all very good. This one was very stressful for me with the main heroine and some of her choices, and I was literally messaging someone like, I know there's going to be a happy ending, but I'm just so stressed about this person's choices and what they're going to do, and everything turned out fine. It was great. So I finished that this morning, and then earlier this week I read Claudia Gray's Master and Apprentice, which was so good.
Was it good, Di?
It was so good. I have so many feelings. But Claudia Gray is like one of the best writers that Star Wars Lit has, and they're stable of authors right now, and all of her books are really good. This one like made me want to go back and track down the old Jedi Apprentice books from the late 90s with baby Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. And yeah, so
Did you see that they've brought on Justina Ireland
Yes.
and Rebecca Rowanhorse?
I'm so excited
so
for the
pumped.
Rebecca Rowanhorse Star Wars novel. I am dying. It's going to be so good.
Did you see her Twitter thread that was
Yeah.
like, please give me all of the Star Wars curses because I don't think I can write this without curses.
yeah,
It's going to be so good.
I was talking with some friends on a podcast about how we're just like really lucky right now with what Star Wars is putting out on the lit side, just because they've gotten so many good authors participating on all levels, so middle grade, YA, and adult, and they've like really diversified their author group, which I appreciate, because I've been rereading some of the Legends books, and they're like very white. The authors are like very white and male. And like that's not like, I do love some of the Legends books, like the X-Wing books are some of my all-time faves. Wraith Squadron are the destructive found family murder babies of my heart. But yeah, and like we have, you know, the Galaxy's Edge stuff coming out. We have the Journey to the Rise of Skywalker coming out, and then in 2020 there's going to be whatever Project Luminous is. and I'm so excited.
And that has Zoraida Cordova, doesn't it?
Yeah, so Zoraida Cordova is writing the YA tie-in for Galaxy's Edge,
Mhm.
and then Project Luminous, they have only released the title and some of the authors working on it. So it's Claudia Gray, Justina Ireland, Daniel Jose Older, Cavan Scott, who recently wrote the Dooku Jedi Lost audio drama that Del Rey dropped at the end of the last month.
Mhm.
And he's written some of the IDW Star Wars Adventures comics and the Choose Your Own Adventures books. And then Charles Soule, who wrote the Poe Dameron comic and the second Darth Vader series that focuses on the early days of Vader. Hi, I know I can talk a lot about
Damn, girl.
That Twitter thing that's like, what can I talk about for 30 minutes?
Star Wars.
Yeah, no, totally.
Specifically Star Wars publishing and its young adult track. Like, damn, girl, get it. But that's such a good lineup. Like, all the authors you named, I was like, I would read that. I would read that. I would read. Like, they have so many good authors in their lineup, especially on the young adult side.
Yeah, and then because I don't really know who's doing, because they're doing a YA tie-in for the episode 9 stuff, and that author is one I don't know. But it sounds interesting. It's about a young boy who is tracking down Force artifacts.
Ooh, cool.
Okay. So I guess I'll go next. I am starting Infomocracy by MacLeod. I can almost never say it if I don't slow down in the middle of saying her name, MacLeod. And I haven't actually gotten very far, and I'm only a couple pages in. But this is going to be the next one I read, kind of to talk about the politics involved. And then I have On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden that I'm going to be reading. And this one is, I think this was a Hugo. No,
Yeah,
this is
It's a Hugo final.
It's a graphic, yeah.
Yeah. So.
I am really interested in that one, Bree. I really want to read that.
Yeah, it's chunky.
Yeah, that's a big old
Oh
book.
my goodness.
Yeah,
Well, it is a graphic novel.
Yeah.
but still.
Yeah, I mean,
Even for a graphic, though, that's a big one.
it's in the it's in the packet.
Mhm.
Apparently, it's available online.
Mhm.
But there's a
Yeah, I
link
guess it
in
was a
there.
webcomic first.
Yeah. So that's fine. I just wanted to see if it was in the packet, but all the comics are in the packet. Obviously, this one is a webcomic, but yeah.
And speaking of Infomocracy, the Sentinel Cycle is up for the best series
Best
award.
Series.
And I want to say that File 770 listed all the books in that series in the voter packet.
Oh, really?
I'm excited about because I still need to read the last one, State Tectonics.
Yeah, all 3 of the Malcolm Older books are in there.
But
Yeah.
In the best
I'm
series.
legit excited for whatever video you do, Brie, on that book because I've actually read it and
I still need to read it. I got it last year as a birthday present, and I've been just sitting on it, waiting for the right mood to strike.
Yeah,
It's one of
It
those.
hasn't happened.
It's one of those books that I've had a copy of it forever, and I've just been like, I should read this, and I know I'm gonna like it, and I know it's gonna make me think, and I just haven't done it. It has been one that I've been meaning to get around to for a long time now.
Mhm.
So I guess I will go next. I just this week have finished The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and the and Daisy Six and Daisy Jones and the Six, both of them on audio, and I really enjoyed both.
Oh, Daisy Jones and the Six on audio is so good.
It's so good. Like
It's so good, and if you
I'm thinking
If
about
you-
reading that.
Yeah,
it's
if you
really
like
good.
the 70s rock, I'm a huge Fleetwood Mac fan, and
Yeah.
you can tell the inspiration. And ooh,
like, fair warning, there's a lot of drug use in the book. Like, if that's not your thing, there's a lot of drug use, but I think it handles the topics of addiction and getting sober and getting clean really well. I really enjoyed it, and it was kind of weird because those kinds of book like alternative history contemporaries are not usually ones that I really read, but both of them were so good, and I think like Evelyn Hugo like shot up straight to my like favorite books of all time.
Which one? What happens in Evelyn Hugo? I know I've heard of it, but I'm trying
It's
to recall
basically about this old Hollywood actress who like is telling her life story to this young journalist, and she has this connection with the journalist that the reader doesn't know at the beginning of the book, and neither does the journalist. And
oh, that sounds very I don't know why I immediately thought about Interview with a Vampire.
well, it does kind of have that similar but basically like, but the queerness is not subtext.
Oh, nice.
Like, oh man, I just like, even thinking about Interview with the Vampire, I just get bitter about Anne Rice not acknowledging the fact that like Lestat and Louis are totally like two gay dads.
How are they? How
Like-
is that not? I thought that was a canon thing. It's
No, dude, Anne Rice found Jesus, and there are no gay vampires. So
Anne Rice is
It was a
just
canon thing until she got into faith, and then she sort of
that's
rewrote
what
the
happened.
whole
Because
thing.
I'm aware of I'm aware of her becoming very, very, very religious, and then
yeah,
unreligious.
my mom
again
has loved
afterwards,
Anne.
whatever.
Yeah. My mom has loved Anne Rice from like Interview with the Vampire all the way up through her like Jesus books. I'm like, I don't understand, Mom, how you made that transition with her, but like, God bless.
Anne Rice. I feel like Anne Rice always does stuff
basically-
that just falls off the deep end. Like
Yeah.
her commenting on Amazon reviews. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your
Yeah.
life?
Dude, Anne Rice is some like weird old New Orleans recluse who's like living up in her house, and you can only write so many books about Jesus before you have to hit the internet. So
I mean, to be fair, wasn't she awful like about fandom and fanfic and all of that?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, she was very much so like
She has sued
not.
people. She has sued people for writing fanfic and then written like huge toxic blog
Screeds.
posts about when she lost those cases.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because if you've ever read any of her Jesus books, they're literally just New Testament fan fiction. But like, it's fine, whatever. Like,
Yeah. Like,
do you, Anne Rice?
I'm like, for me, I used to love the Vampire Chronicles with a passion, and now I'm just like, there are only 3 books. There are only 3 books in the series. There are no more books. None of that ever happened. It's like she started writing fan fiction of her own series. That's basically how the rest of the books are. But anyway, currently I'm reading Priory of the Orange Tree.
Ooh, big book. How is that?
Yeah, it's wrecking my wrist. That's what
Yeah.
it's doing.
Yeah.
So one to read as an ebook.
Yeah,
Or an
like I have
audiobook
the,
is
I have
really
the hardcover from the library,
Mhm.
and I'm like doing like this. Like first it's in this hand, then it's in this hand, because like if I read it for more than an hour, my wrist starts to complain of a
You're
possible
gonna get well buffed.
tendonitis.
Like a weight. It's like is it like 900 pages or something?
Close to it, like 868 or on those lines.
But it's really gone up to 900. I mean, that's not a nice round number, is it?
Yeah.
My brain just cannot read books that long anymore right now. I just like, and I used to love The Longest Fantasy, and now you said that, and I'm like, my brain like short circuited. I'm like, that is too many pages in one book. That's like 4 books in one book.
I'm currently on page like 100 and 150, I think.
Cool. So like
Middle of a normal
6%.
book.
Cool. Yeah. So you've read like one whole book and you're like 8% through. Cool.
Yeah, and I've
fun story.
read it for like this last week. Like, but at first the book was like really namey. Like like everything was name dropped, like all these characters, and I'm like, there's no context for any of this. Who are these people? Why do I need to care? And it's like name, like in like 5 names per page, new characters, and I'm like, what is going on? And now it started to getting to the actual world building and context, and I'm like, why couldn't I get this first? and then I could have I could have cared about all of the name stuff.
This is
But-
Samantha Shannon, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
The same lady as the mime order, and what's the first one in that one?
Bone season.
Bone
Bone
season.
I remember reading the Bone season and really not being a fan.
Yeah, same.
I think I read the Bone season like the year that I kind of stopped reading YA and it was branded YA at the library. And I remember getting to the end of it and going, I feel like the relationship in this book is kind of weird. And I'm going to go read something else.
That's fair.
But
Well, speaking of mismarketed YA, I'll go next. I am currently about 3/4 of the way through Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, which is the one that just recently got picked up by Amazon for Amazon Prime for like a TV show.
Yeah.
And yes, and I'm so fucking excited. It's really, really great. It's everywhere I've seen it. It's marketed as a young adult novel.
Surely it's a royalty AU.
But yeah, the main character, Alex, he's 21. He is the son of the president, and he basically has this frenemy relationship with the Prince of England that lasts until they defo make out on New Year's Eve. And then gasp and shock. Gasp and shock. But it's super great, and I would describe it much more as like a low heat kind of closed door male romance. There's nothing explicit in it, but they definitely like have sex on the page in a way that surpasses what would happen in a young adult novel. Plus, none of them are young adults. So I love the book, but my weirdest thing about it is just like I don't understand. I mean, I do understand why it's being marketed that way, but like it's also like definitely should not be being marketed that way. And then I just finished. Go ahead, Claire.
I don't know, maybe I'm showing my French, but I've definitely read books that were, not YA, but I've definitely read stuff that was sci-fi and fantasy when I was a young adult and been perfectly fine with reading stuff where like they were having sex, like quite explicitly that was what was happening, but also like they close the door and then you don't see anything, but you do know that's what's happening. And
sure.
more or less messed up relationship dynamics because I was picking up, Anne McCaffrey and like other various things that was published like 10 or 15 years before I read it. When I was a young adult 15 years ago. So like I'm just kind of like I can tell from what you're saying that it's clearly been mismarketed, but I'm not sure if I think it's a bad thing.
No, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing.
I'm getting to read like,
And to be completely honest with you, it's not so much the sex that makes me think it's been mismarketed, so much as it is the actual age of the characters.
Oh, fair enough.
Our main character is 21. The Prince of England turns 23 over the course of the book, and like that just doesn't like that is so at the older end of the young adult market that like that paired with the other things that happen just make it seem like you could put it in a new adult category. I think you could obviously be in the young adult market and read it. It feels like the situation that frequently happens where they wrote an adult book that they thought would sell better in the young adult market, so they just like slap a cute cover on it, and because it's a contemporary romance, it is cute, so it's easier to kind of do that with. And I love it, and I think I'm so glad that it got picked up for TV because the way that the book is written, the dialogue really snaps. It feels very much so contemporary. It's very funny and witty. It's interesting to me that they went with a young adult marketing technique, and I'm pretty sure I know why, but it's still just interesting.
I'm probably going to show my Finnishness too, like how Claire is showing her Frenchness, because like this whole
European be like
thing in YA and not showing sex is so weird to me, because when I was like 15 or something, one of the books that I like remember reading that was targeted to like young adult and like my age group was this book about like, and it was a Finnish book about two kids who were dating, and they started living together when they were like 16. And one scene was them having sex on top of a laundromat, like really explicitly.
Oh well.
Like, and I still remember that scene after like 17 years.
I just also think it's interesting, like, we are all of a general age that, like, we didn't really get a young adult market.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, we kind of did. Like, we were just on, like, the outside edge of age brackets when they started to really push, like, a young adult industry market genre like it is now. So the conventions are just... And when you read a lot of YA, there's a certain way that they write sex, even in the super sex positive, like, super, like, not shying away from admitting and showing that teenagers have sex. There's still a certain, like, language and tone that it's usually done in.
Yeah, there's genre conventions.
Yeah, and it just doesn't feel like those match this book in a way that they should for a young adult. But it's very odd, and I love it. And I just hope that it doesn't... My main thing is I hope it doesn't miss a market of readers who don't read YA because it's being marketed as a YA book. That's always like my underlying fear, is that if it's not actually YA, some of those people, and we all know those people, some of them have recently put out more videos being those people. They're not going to read it because it's associated with the dreaded young adult label. So
that video.
I didn't watch it. I just read all the Twitter.
I haven't even had time to read the Twitter shade about it.
I just got a couple minutes in and I was like, oh my god, I'm so tired and so bored. And I've literally heard a white dude who looks just like you say all of these exact same things before.
It's so been before.
I watched it, and some of the things like they said, like I do agree with to an extent, but at the same time, this is a conversation that has been rehashed by similar kinds of dudes like 100 times, and I'm like,
well, and moreover,
so Rhea, I bet you're not having that opinion in a sexist, ageist manner.
It's one of those things that for me, like, the only thing I could really say that you have a point about is, like, yes, sometimes a book gets overhyped and then the experience of reading it is lesser because you've been expecting more.
But don't tell me in adult SFF we've never had an overhyped book that we've all been looking forward to that that's not like young adult specific. Like that's my thing, is like I always come genre out there. Yeah. I always just come back to the whole thing of like, if it does not apply to you, if it is not yours, do not take it upon yourself. Like if the books that you read don't fit the judgments that people have, then cool, and move on. And if you don't like YA, then don't read it. Like
no one's gonna make you.
Well, moreover, like, get over that people like things different than you. Like, you don't need to feel like enjoyment is not a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, and that whole thing as well with like this ridiculous idea of objectivity and art and culture, like this is bad. Like, no, what you mean to say is I didn't like this. I'm confused by the fact that you liked it. It's not good or bad. It like speaks to you in different ways.
Yeah, literally short of like moral depravity and those things that are just like capital W wrong. Everything else is a matter of like taste and
like
being subjective.
Let's be real. There is like when it comes to like human opinion, like people with opinions, there is not a thing called objective. Like there is no objective opinion. Like it just doesn't happen. Everything like everything related to opinion is subjective, and like people need to just get over their high horse. And
for sure.
Like, for example, I'm not huge on Game of Thrones, and do you see me shitting on it every week? No, I just ignore it like a sane person.
I apologize for my Twitter tomorrow.
No problem. I have muted pretty much everything relating to Game of Thrones.
Yeah, right. That's what it's for. That's what mute is for. Have everybody said what we've been reading?
Oh, I think I haven't gone actually. I'm lost.
Cool.
Okay.
I am still trying to finish Record of a Spaceborne Few.
It's so pretty.
It's pretty. And I do like I like what it's about. I don't like the choppiness, but the theme of it I really enjoy. But I'm being massively distracted from reading this because I am starting my Shakespeare binge, and I'm going to be probably reading Henry V later today and ignoring everything else on my currently reading shelf.
Good choice of all the Henrys. Henry V is my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed the two parts of Henry IV, actually. So, yeah. I thought I would be really bored by the histories, but I've actually enjoyed them far more than the comedies.
They're just all full of murder. So much murder. Everybody's murdering everybody in the histories.
I also just have a ton of fun Wikipediaing all these people and like what the history actually was and all the relationships between people. Like I know it's a little bit not true to actual history in the plays, but yeah.
William Shakespeare made his own like shade throwing videos, but for like the 15th century, and they're great and it's fantastic.
Yep.
Oh god.
Rachel, will you be making a video comparing like Tempest to Miranda in Milan?
I don't think so, mainly because I read The Tempest so long ago, but it's actually one I need to reread at some point.
I would be interested in watching that video because I'm a sucker for intertextuality.
And you could do a whole series because is it Folger that's doing the modern adaptation classics where they've done like 5 or 6 current updates of, I think they have one of Othello and one of Taming of the Shrew and one of.
Yeah.
I think Torch
maybe
has,
you
done
remember
a
this
bunch
one.
has been putting out a bunch of people's retellings too,
Mm-hmm.
but like especially like queer retellings, which has been cool.
Did anyone going back a few years to when the YouTube retellings were all the craze, did anyone here watch Nothing Much to Do?
I haven't heard of that one. What is
Which
that?
one is that?
It's okay. So it's like the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, but better because it doesn't have the shitty Lydia arc.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm still so.
Wait, so what does this one adapt? And can you say the name again?
So the title is called Nothing Much to Do, and it was done by this little New Zealand production company called the Candle Wasters.
Nice.
And it's an adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing set in a high school.
Okay, you know what? That works because what other setting does the stupid ass plot of Much Ado actually work in, right?
Oh yeah,
because like Much Ado is so much about like gossip and she said and he said and I saw that one thing and blah blah blah.
And it works so well, and they have like little musical. One of the characters, I'm blanking on Buddy's name, but like the actor is actually a musician, and so he'll do like a couple of like little songs every now and then. And there's a trailer for it with him singing an adaptation of the poem in Much Ado About Nothing. And it's really good.
Is he Benedict?
No, Benedict is a different actor.
He's the shitty dude.
No, he's not Pedro.
Wait, there's so many shitty dude. Is he the one that's kind of like Marius?
No, he's not a shitty dude.
Okay, well, fair enough. I'm writing it down. I'm gonna watch that definitely.
Yeah, I loved it. I actually might rewatch it soon just because it was very delightful. The Candle Wasters have done some other adaptations. So they did kind of a sequel to Nothing Much to Do that was like kind of Love Slavers Lost.
Okay.
And then they did one that was like Midsummer Night's Dream, and they did Hamlet. So they've done a couple of different things, and I really like them. Yeah, and I'm still bitter about the Lizzie Bennet Diaries.
I think we're all still bitter about the Lizzie Bennet Diaries.
It was so good, and then it got so bad.
If we are making Shakespeare recommendations, I would like to recommend my favorite Shakespeare adaptation of all time, which is called Get Over It. This is an early 2000s Ben Foster, Kristen Dunst high school dramedy in which their drama club is putting on A Midsummer Night's Rocking Eve. And Martin Short plays the director who's rewriting it, and they sing original songs, and there's a dance number, and disco in it. It's absurdist and fantastic and slightly magical realism, but like if you're gonna watch a Shakespeare adaptation, I actually think it's not too bad. Like Midsummer Night's Dream is kind of a bonkers play, and this is kind of a bonkers adaptation, so it fits.
That makes sense.
My favorite Shakespeare adaptation is still, after all these years, 10 Things
Clueless.
I Hate About You.
Because that movie is functionally perfect.
Well, no,
It is-
because Heath Ledger is functional perfect.
Yeah.
So
Clueless.
speaking of something I hate about you,
Clueless is also good.
Clueless is good. One of the women's soccer teams in the NWSL Orlando, they were in Tacoma playing the Rain, and they were practicing at the 10 Things I Hate About You high school. And so there was like a lot of Instagram stories of them like showing the high school, and then a couple of the players, including like a 6-time player of the year, Marta, acted out Heath Ledger's dance, and I just like died in the middle of
Who's up?
Nice.
So yeah,
Like,
Marta,
they-
10 Things I Hate About
I
You.
haven't-
Definitely.
I haven't watched 10 Things I Hate About You in a while, but I've been reading like some analysis that people have been like writing on Twitter, like whole Twitter threads about the like subtle relationship stuff in that movie.
Have
great.
you,
If you don't listen to the Overinvested podcast, they just did an episode on 10 Things I Hate About You and why it's basically the perfect movie.
What's the name? Overinvested.
Overinvested, yeah.
Yeah, no, they have a great that's so great.
Their thesis is basically that it's like one of the best high school movies ever, and why. And they are very correct in all of the things that they say about it, because it's wonderful.
it
I
is.
just
I don't
wrote that
always
down,
agree
so I
with
will
them, but
remember
they always
later.
have really interesting analysis.
Oh no, I don't always agree with them either. But specifically for 10 Things I Hate About You, everything they said is 100% correct, and I agree with everything they say.
But now I really want to watch Snowpiercer, which they just did an episode on, and it's just showed up on Netflix UK. And
Snowpiercer, the one with Chris Evans.
Yeah, it's Chris Evans' drama movie where he's got the good
Yeah.
beard.
That is
Yeah, I saw that a couple years ago, I think.
so it never
pretty
came out in the UK, and it's supposed to be like actually a good movie. It's based on a
good.
comic, so I kind of wanted to read the comic and then watch it, and then maybe I don't know, maybe do it. I'm really into the idea. You said
Yeah,
you like intertextuality, and I'm really into like adaptation theory, and
Yeah.
so I really.
Me too.
I
me
always
too.
want to do
I
videos
could
that are like
make a whole
comparing
episode. I could make a whole episode about the 7 margins of adaptation, and how
want you
Game
both to
of
do these
Thrones
things.
breaks every single one of them.
Just so you know, I want you both to do these things where you're talking about intertextuality and
I have
adaptation.
a list. I have a list of like adaptation things because one of my favorite videos that I made was like comparing The Martian, the book, and the movie, and I want to keep. I have such a long list, and I've had it for years, but like I just don't have time.
Yeah, like I
doesn't get
talked
done.
briefly about intertextuality in translation, like how intertextuality affects translation progress, but that's about it. And even then, I was only just like grazing the surface because it's such a huge topic that you could just make a 20 episode series about it.
So
All right, friends, my little one's up and it's Mother's Day, so I'm gonna go do the mom thing. But this was fun.
I'm glad you
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's
Bye,
Day.
Mother's
You
Day
are
house.
wetting the paper. Stop it.
Does your child know it's Mother's Day, right? Yeah. Well, it's not because you're in Europe, but it's fine.
It is. Today is Mother's Day.
Oh, in Finland also, because in the UK it's like a month ago, and in France as well.
Yesterday I went to visit my mom.
Behave, kitten.
Yes. He
Hello.
just went to like he has this habit where he washes his feet in his water bowl, like in a drinking cup.
Yeah.
And then he comes to my table to and tries to like dry his feet on whatever is on the table, and it's really annoying. And now there's like wet paw prints everywhere, and all my papers have wet stains.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at the effect it has on you. I'm laughing at the ridiculousness of doing that. It's such a cat thing.
It really
Yeah.
is.
Like he is the ridiculous one of my cats. The other one is a very like sophisticated old lady, and this one is like the fool. Like if I had to describe them, Hedda is the queen, the empress of this household, and Tesla is the fool in the motley.
Bother! I misknitted again.
Oh no!
I don't know how long for. Whoops.
I hate missing steps.
Oh, I know how long for now. It's the whole thing. Okay, well, I need to not be working on this when we're talking because I need to find other yarn and like start a thing that's like straight up and down, you know.
Has anyone seen the Tolkien biopic yet?
Nope.
No.
No, I want to go and see it, but it's not. Yeah.
I did go see Detective Pikachu.
Was it good? I want to see it. I want to see it so bad.
I have a very specific complaint regarding a trope that they use that I particularly hate.
Is it the Janie Law attorney at law trope?
No.
Okay.
It is in regards to Bill Nighy's character.
Oh. Yeah.
But other than that, I really enjoy the movie.
So I think if you don't like Pokemon, you're going to be real lost.
Yeah.
Because they don't explain anything about Pokemon.
But why would you go watch Detective Pikachu if you don't like Pokemon?
Because you have a 5-year-old or something. Or like your grandma. So if you like, those people in the room will be very lost. And everyone else I think will really enjoy it if you like, especially it does a lot of the Pokemon things where like the villains do dumb villain things and like, oh, suddenly we're just here and here's all of this information we needed. Like
it also is it was much more noir than I was expecting it to be. Like it's very much like child's first noir movie.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Oh man.
They gave out Pokemon cards at my theater and I was very happy.
I saw that. I saw that at Mighty as an artist I follow who's Finnish went to see the movie and also got like Pokemon cards, and now I'm like, I need to go see it so that they don't run out of the cards. But I want to see the Tolkien biopic too. Like,
yeah, I've seen reviews that were like, whatever, it's all right. It's not going to set the world on fire. But I like the actor.
Someone is asking if we've all seen the Sonic trailer.
It is. Oh. It was in front of. I had been avoiding it, but it was in front of the Detective Pikachu.
That's when I saw it too.
And it was cursed image.
It's like the design gives me nightmares.
So the thing is, I really, and this is so petty and baseless, but I really don't like Jim Carrey.
Oh yeah.
Because he's a good actor. He's done like 2 movies in his career where he acts, and the rest of the time he just does Jim Carrey, and it's so irritating to me.
Yeah.
He just always comes across as kind of creepy to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He also helped promote anti-vax shit when he and Jennifer.
Oh well, that's also terrible.
Oh, that's nice. Which I mean to say is not nice at all.
But aside from the fact that he's clearly just like dangerous if he's promoting this stuff, like I just personally, I know that I don't like to see him in things because he makes, and that's whatever the thing is, if he's in it, I'm just gonna be like, no. Like the movie version of a series of unfortunate events. I like the books, but I'm like, oh god, no, no.
I pretty much have like a huge aversion to any kind of acting where the person is like doing, and that's like Jim. Oh my god, my jaw.
I shouldn't have done that.
I shouldn't have done that. But yeah,
I just it's just not. It's just really, really, really one note, and he can act. So anyway, that's a really petty thing. And I'm like, I actually really like. I grew up with the Sonic games. Like those were the ones that we had on the consoles that we had when I was a kid. You know, and I was really bad at them, but I really loved them, and I have a really soft spot in my heart for
Carrie.
Sonic. But like, number one, that does not look like Sonic.
Yeah,
It is
no.
bloody creepy. As many people have pointed out on Twitter, they've promised to change it, and now they're probably going to make their graphic department work like overtime and crunch time.
Is going to be
forever.
like ridiculous, and if that happens, they may possibly end up causing the studio to go bankrupt. Because as you do, like usually like in these situations, the like artists don't get paid overtime. They are just expected to
fix
like
it.
accept crunch as it is. Like that's why there's this huge issue of unionizing in the games industry and in the SFX industry in general. Like think Life of Pi. That studio won an Oscar for their graphics work, and the whole studio went bankrupt because of that movie.
So what do you mean by went bankrupt? Because you're just saying that they're not paying the graphic people extra. So
Yeah.
What's causing them to go bankrupt?
They're like, what's causing them to go bankrupt is that they have to work on the contract that they have already been paid for, which means
you're saying
they
it's
can't
making
take new
the
contract.
people working that contract go bankrupt, not the actual studio itself.
Yeah.
The studio's
well,
making
in
a
that
fuck ton
case,
of
the
money.
studio went bankrupt because it was a small studio.
The studio that was contracted by the movie studio.
Yeah. The studio.
But you see why I was confused, because I thought you meant the movie studio was going bankrupt, and it was
the studio that was responsible for the effects.
Yeah.
They went bankrupt. Yeah. And that's a huge issue. Like, and
I mean,
Red Dead, a lot of like
Red Dead
closures
2, right?
and stuff. Yeah.
Like Red Dead Redemption 2 made its developers and designers work so much crunch so that they could animate temperature effects on the testicles of the horses. And like, still don't like that game.
Like,
I know many people love that game, and it's very pretty and whatever.
Temperature effects on testicles of horses. That's totally what I always look for in a game.
This is the same studio that does Grand Theft Auto, right? All right, by Cat.
Yeah.
Is it? I can't remember. Anyway, many people have pointed out Sonic the Hedgehog probably looks like that because of some bad feedback that was given to the graphic artists by the studio to, like, you know, make it look more relatable, whatever.
I think it was because they focus tested the shit out of like the whole thing, and the design was based on the focus testing. You know you've done fucked up when the original designer of the character is like going on a rage rant on Twitter and like denouncing everything to do with the movie design. Yeah. And then after they announced that they are going to like redesign it, he was like, "Thank God!" Like he's gone on public record now on that.
And I mean, even they have gone on public record saying that there had been doubt about the design beforehand, you know, and they. Anyway, never mind. Like,
yeah.
Is it gonna be? It doesn't look good anyway. Like, the story doesn't look good, you know? Like,
yeah. Like,
the trailer looks terrible.
No, I'm like, nah. My partner was like, "Are we going to see Sonic the Hedgehog movie? Like, it looks so bad that it might be actually entertaining." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to."
But you know what you could do probably for the same amount of money as like 2 cinema tickets, because cinema tickets are very expensive now. You could just go on eBay and get yourself. You could just go on eBay and get yourself, like, you know, an old like Sega 16-bit Mega Drive, and, you know, a cartridge of Sonic the Hedgehog.
We have a cartridge of Sonic the Hedgehog, so that's
Yeah, obviously
covered.
you do.
The only thing that could make it better, the only thing that could make it like bad enough for me to want to go, right, to like hit that note, would be if they had Shadow in there, you know, the edgelord of the Sonic universe.
Edgelord Sonic.
If I would consider seeing it if it looked this bad and also Shadow was in it.
I would consider seeing it if there was like a bunch of those Sonic original characters, like every person who has been like producing or directing or whatever the movie, and they all had their like Sonic personas in there somewhere. Like whole that deviant art Sonic OC face, like that, then I would be like, wee. Or if the movie was like totally meme worthy, that then too. But I'm not gonna pay for Jim Carrey. Like, no.
Face squishing himself all over.
No.
Yeah, and like it's the same thing. Like, it's the same thing. Like when I'm not going to pay for Johnny Depp.
Yes.
Because I'm like.
I have there's a list, you know, you could just make a whole list of people I'm not going to pay for movies for.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I felt so cheated on Fantastic Beasts, because I thought I was paying for something, and then it turns out I was paying for Johnny Depp. And
Can
I was
we
so
talk about how
off.
baffled I am about this? Because why would you trade in Colin Farrell for
I
Johnny Depp?
Right.
Yeah.
Why?
Like
He's
Colin
so much
Farrell
more
was
attractive.
He was
like the person who
more
was doing the
attractive.
casting had a
Actually
picture
brought
of Johnny
in some
Depp,
character.
like, you know,
like he brought in some character, like, and acted like he was acting. Johnny Depp just goes in drunk and plays himself. I like.
But also, it's like the person who was casting the movie had like a picture of Colin Farrell like now, and then a picture of Johnny Depp in like, you know, I don't know, 1995. Actually attracted him.
Yeah, and also Johnny Depp's makeup in the movie just looks so bad.
But you understand, it's because in the Harry Potter universe, which we all know for its political subtlety, if you're gonna be a villain, you have to be uggo, because like pretty people can't be villains. That would be like, you know, that would make no sense. Like, obviously, it's like, what is even going on?
Well, they already failed that with Lucius Malfoy and with Jason Isaacs. I still have a crush on Lucius Malfoy because of Jason Isaacs and that horrendous blonde wig.
Did you mean Lucius Locks?
Luscious Malfoy?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, God.
I mean, you know, the thing is, like someone's saying in the, like Emma's saying in the comments, like in the chat, like, you know, it's not like he was a lot in this movie. Like they could have just recast it really easily. Like they could have just changed the ending of that movie like so easily if they wanted by just having Colin Farrell say 5 more minutes on set.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and it's so bad. Like it's like, it was a cool reveal when Graves was like secretly, you know, and you're like, oh, he's evil from the inside of the ministry. What's gonna happen? There's tension there. And then you're like, oh, no, it turns out the only evil person is Wizard Hitler.
You know,
because there's no other evil people.
You know, the only way that reveal could have been like in that moment, even though I'm very averse to Benedict Cumberbatch being in any more franchises where he doesn't need to be, but in that moment, I was wishing for a Benedict Cumberbatch reveal.
That would have been so. I mean, you know.
Can you imagine Benedict Cumberbatch in a blonde wig?
Listen, I think Benedict Cumberbatch is in way too many franchises, and I think it's much better when he's a dragon than when he's as an actor because he doesn't.
He's a very good voice actor.
It's hard when someone looks as like striking and like strange as he does to look like anything but, you know. When do you ever talk about a Benedict Cumberbatch role and like mention the name of the character and not Benedict Cumberbatch, right?
True.
Yeah.
Like, you think of him as that. So I agree with you. He shouldn't be in more things, but it would have been bloody hilarious because
Also,
it
it would have been like
could have been like so, and also he's genuinely a good actor.
Yeah,
Okay,
and he
so
can
I'm
act.
gonna
he can actually act.
I'm
Like,
gonna throw something out there, and y'all are gonna laugh at me. Robert Downey Jr. because reuniting him and Jude Law.
Ah, yes.
also, Robert Downey Jr.'s horrendous English accent.
No,
Which
no,
also reminds me, why does
Grindelwald,
Grindelwald,
like,
why does
dramatic?
Grindelwald have an English accent
that's
in
what
the
I'm saying,
first
like, that would
place?
also be great because instead of Robert Downey Jr.'s horrendous English accent, we could get Robert Downey Jr.'s horrendous, possibly like
German
vague-
accent?
vaguely European accent.
Very, very nice.
Oh
Just
my
like randomly kind of European accent.
Okay, guys, we are getting really close to the end of our 2 hours, so I think we need to start wrapping up a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
Just, I can sit here and listen to y'all talking about things I haven't watched for a long time. But
Sorry.
Please
Sorry,
keep
Rachel.
continue not watching it. I haven't even gone to see the second one. Is how bad as it is.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I did read all of the spoilers.
I read all the
But I-
reviews and the spoilers.
I
I
read
watched
all of the
many
spoilers.
videos analyzing the spoilers, and it was so good.
yeah.
Anyway, wrapping up.
Yep. So I've got 2 more things on our agenda.
Okay.
Anticipated releases. Anything you guys are looking forward to over the next month or so?
Oh, the next month or so. I haven't. Someone else talk. I'm pulling up my Goodreads.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think.
Isn't
I don't know about
Hex Arcade Stories by you and Holly is coming out in
Yeah.
June, I think, and I'm pre-ordering that.
Oh, friends, I was shown an actual copy of that at EasterCon, and I was like, well, I know so many people who would like flip out seeing it.
Oh yeah.
But I need to be reading
Magic
it
for
first.
Liars by Sarah Gailey is coming out next month, and I am really. Or is it?
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like it's coming out soon.
It's coming out next month, and that's something that June 4th. I'm really looking forward to that. I also like the cover. I really like that
cover
cover
is
design.
cool. There's
yeah.
So this isn't SFF, but there's a book coming out by Olivia Waite called The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics, and it's a female romance about.
Oh.
It's a. Wait, let me see. They've altered the. Yeah, it's a female historical romance about a lady astronomer and the widow of an explorer.
I like all of that sounding.
Yeah, and
like
basically
that.
it's like one of them goes to like work as basically a PA for the other or something like that. And then shenanigans.
I have
Lady's Guide to Celestial.
Mechanics. It's that's June 25th.
So also not a science fiction or fantasy book. But I am a huge Kate Mulgrew fan because she was my first captain. Well, my first captain I cared the most about. And her newest memoir is coming out on the 21st, and I already have it pre-ordered on Audible because she reads her own memoirs. And
What's it called? I read her first one because of you, Brie.
her first one's fantastic too. I just looked it up with I think it's something like a daughter's struggle or something. Hold on. It's specifically about her relationship with her mother. Which also, if you haven't read Kate Mulgrew's first memoir, you absolutely should, because it's like listening to your like wild aunt tell you all about her secret life. It's called her new one is called How to Forget a Daughter's Memoir.
Is the first one Born with Teeth?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah.
Speaking of Kate Mulgrew, I have a terrible attachment to her character in Dragon Age, who is like not a good person, but is voiced by Kate Mulgrew, and so I forgive a lot.
That's why they
how
fired her.
I'm just going to be putting this to my Goodreads want to read. If the search bar would work.
For me, being extremely on brand, Star Wars Alphabet Squadron drops June 4th, and it is about fighter pilots, and Harrison Dula is going to show up as a general, and I'm very excited for Hera to come back. And also, I'm ready to have more pilots.
I have a second one.
Ooh.
Am I allowed?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is a collection of stories about food. It's called Hungry Hearts: 13 Tales of Food and Love, and it's a bunch of stories about food and how it affects like family and culture, and like basically, so it's a young adult short story collection about like how these various teens relate to food and family and culture, and like, you know, even though France and the UK is super close to each other and, you know, quite culturally similar in many, many ways, like as an immigrant,
No.
like the way that food affects you, like it's just, you know, like I feel that, and I can't wait. That comes out June 18th.
I see that it
What's it
has
called again?
Anna-Marie MacLemore and Rebecca Roanhorse as like one of the contributors. So
Yeah,
okay, I'm
it's
going
called
to.
Hungry Hearts: 13 Tales of Food and Love. It's edited by Elsie Chapman and Caroline Chung Richmond. Elsie Chapman edited this short story collection that's like retelling of Asian mythology. The title escapes me, but
Beginnings and endings.
I feel like I know what that is. Yeah.
Some authors in that anthology are Sandia Menon, Rebecca Roanhorse, Anna-Marie MacLemore, Rinchu Peko, and Adi Al-Said. So seems like very like diverse and intersectional bunch.
yeah, I mean that's kind of the point. That is not, because food is so like varied and different. Yeah.
Well, I come from a very lackluster food culture, so I'm always interested in other
I
foods.
don't think I would characterize it that way, having, you know, benefited from all the lovely rye bread.
Well, let's just say that most of like the most traditional Finnish like cuisine has its roots in periods of huge starvation and famine, and that's why they're like the way they are and made of the stuff that they are made.
And
but I think like a lot of food, that's one of the really interesting things about like food history and like non-fiction stuff about food as well. This is obviously a fiction anthology, but you know, like a lot of stuff can be traced back. Like, you know, the reason that across Europe we have foods like a Cornish pasty, like a calzone, like, you know, like a filled crepe or a sandwich, or, you know, anything that's like some kind of warm food contained in bread, is because that's a food that people bring with them when they go to work outside of their house in like a factory or a mine or something. Like the Cornish pasty, you're literally supposed to hold it by the crust. You eat the crust and the filling, but you don't eat the actual like crescent-shaped crust that you've been holding with your hand full of coal because you're down a mine when you eat it. And so all of that, I mean, obviously it's very, the idea that, you know, every culture is going to have like a bread-based thing is super Western, right? Because plenty of cultures are not based on bread product and are based instead on like rice or things like that. But
yeah, over here it's like a Venn diagram of Swedish and Russian food, because we've been conquered by Russia and Sweden, like so that's why a lot of the cuisine is inspired by Sweden and Russia. And then there's like this tiny sliver of actual like wholly Finnish stuff, which is basically like the reason there's like rye bread and stuff is because that was the only thing that grew here. Like,
so throw back to the time that we were in Helsinki and I ordered beaver sausage, and Rhea didn't know that beaver was slang for stuff.
I'm sorry.
Rachel's face is scandalized.
Like, to be fair, like slang isn't the first thing that comes to mind to me when I'm talking about in English, because it is a second language. So like every opportunity is a learning experience.
No, that's true. That was at the time you guys went to the Viking restaurant and I showed up late and they had stopped serving and Denise gave me some of her food because she's vegetarian and didn't realize that there was, meat in the food. And then the server showed up and was like, "Where did you acquire food, you weird woman?" And sat at the table of loud Americans.
Rachel, what's the last thing on our agenda?
What is coming up for everyone? What's everyone doing next?
Okay. So I am hoping to really get into Infomocracy and start taking notes, but I'm also toying with an outline of a bit of an exploration of the Mary Sue trope.
Ooh, interesting.
That is interesting. I'm just looking at my list.
I am working on finishing my reading for the Hugos and the SFF Awards. I have made notes. Because I like being able to cross things out. So I just reread Binti and I just reread the first volume of Monstrous. I'm gonna get on with like rereading the rest of the series up to, volume 3, or reading for the first time the rest of the series. But yeah, I'm making my way through all the stuff. I'm really, really hoping that this year I'll be able to do some videos that are like talking about the shortlist novellas. And I don't know if I'll do the other like novelette and short stories and all of that. I'll definitely won't do series, and I probably won't do YA because I think I've read like one of them. But I'm hoping I can do novel and novella because I've read like half, if not more, of those. And then maybe graphic work as well. That would be cool. But I want to do them every year and I never manage, so.
I am the same way. I mean, the next thing I'm going to do is pretty much the same thing as trying to work through shortlists. And I think like the Nebulas, they're announcing the winners this month.
Yeah,
so I'm already behind.
I don't know if you can see like where I'm pointing right now, but that's like a pile of books that is like on triage right now on a shelf behind me, and like literally yesterday John called it a refugee camp of books. Because it's basically like when I get a book, when I buy it or when I like receive it from a publisher and I haven't put it in the book haul yet. I'm sorry?
That's a terrible thing to say.
John is awful, did you not know?
He doesn't come across that way in his videos.
Well, wow. Well, fair enough.
But maybe I have
a
different threshold for awful.
There are some things he doesn't put in videos because when you have a certain audience, you have to be responsible about it. But anyway, he was kind of he has a point. It is a lot. I have like 2 more book hauls to film because I have too many things for just one. So last time I did a book haul, I called it part 1 of 2. It's going to be part 1 of 3, as it turns out. But I also want to do like basically like a KonMari of all my books, which I've been wanting to do since the beginning of the year, when we all got like, oh my god, this is great. She makes these people so unstressed out and organized. This is great. I want to do that. But I still haven't gotten around to it, so.
I did that last year. I basically kept rewatching the KonMari videos that Sam from Thoughts on Tomes did. She did like the KonMari my TBR. I watched that a couple times and I was like, I can do this. And it's very freeing. I got rid of a lot of books.
But I think it would be visually like really cool as well. And I like the idea that as a video, it would be something that I could kind of film whilst being quiet and like, just minding my own business and then maybe doing a bit of a voiceover afterwards or something.
I personally skipped doing videos or really even talking about it because I didn't want people to argue with me about, oh yeah, you should keep that thing, or why are you getting rid of that book? I was just like, I'm going to keep it private, and that also reduces the pressure on me so I don't start overthinking it, because it's really like in that moment of, if you're actually going to KonMari it, use the KonMari method, to be super honest with yourself and just that moment.
Well, I've like kind of planned it out. I've done like a bit of almost like what's it called, like I've laid it out, written it out in my notebook and everything, like almost like you would plan out, panels if you're drawing a comic or something, like, how is it gonna look. Now, what I was thinking I would do is I would do piles of books that are like, where the book is like, basically the spine towards the right is donate, the spine towards the away from me is maybe, and the spine towards the left is keep. And that way, when I'm actually filming it, people wouldn't be able to like see wouldn't be able to pause the video and see all of the books and have an argument with me. Because also the thing is, like, sometimes I've read a book, I've really liked it, I don't think I'm going to reread it, I might as well donate it. Especially since I have a lot of YA, and our friend Charlotte, her partner, is a YA. He's a teacher and works in like a school with actual teenagers, and he's an English teacher. So I figured if I have YA that I want to donate, they can go to him, to his school. But like, I'm just gonna do it and film it, and then I'm gonna say in the outro, like, these went to the charity shop 3 days ago or something, so that it's all, because I know myself and I know that I'm gonna film it and I'm gonna be really excited about it, and I'm gonna be tired and it's not gonna get edited for 3 weeks, because that's what usually happens. I have some footage from EasterCon in the Kitschy Awards to edit. That was a while back too.
I have some more recommendation videos coming up for like the Hogwarts houses. I'm doing manga recommendations, so in a couple of weeks should be Ravenclaws. And then I have Did We Read the Same Book discussion coming up, of like reader bias and like background and stuff. So I'm going to be discussing that. And
that sounds awesome.
And then I'm still wondering if I will be able to do it this month, but I'm going to do a video on getting fandom tattoos, because I'm going to have a tattoo appointment next month. So it's like very timely.
What are you getting?
I'm getting like a half sleeve on this arm.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
It's from the manga The Promised Neverland, because I'm so excited about it. I've been talking about that manga like to anyone who is able to listen, and I'm sure everyone is going to be sick of me talking about that series, but it's so good. It's so freaking fantastic. Like, it's probably one of the best written mangas I've read since like Berserk was really huge. Except like less rapey. Like no rape at all, which is great.
Okay.
Like, it's also weird when you have to like preface things like, it has no rape. That's amazing in this day and age where everything is like for shock value, and like a female character's development is only like, what's the word? A female character can't have character development without having been sexually molested at least once, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
Yeah. Rachel, what are you up to? Other than
Like I
catching
said,
up?
I'm going to be pretty much doing the same thing as Claire and trying to read more nominated stuff. And I got to do some reviews. I'm still like trying to get myself to sit down and finish my script for my Raven Tower review. It's like pulling teeth. But but I'll get it done eventually.
Okay.
And
Di?
Diana?
So I am planning on doing some stuff around the Women's World Cup this week. I need to film just kind of like a general primer with some book recs, podcast recs, and a rundown of how FIFA is corrupt as shit. And then I'm trying to decide if I want to do like pairing authors either from the country itself or from the diaspora to the countries who are playing and like doing like a group by group rundown, but that would be like 6 different videos. And I'm still trying to find authors for a few countries that are available in English, which is really hard for Norwegian female authors.
Yeah.
That would be badass though. I would look for it.
I'm trying to do it. I'm going to be traveling the last week of May, so it's like I'm going to have to like crunch time film and edit.
I mean, I tried to do a project on translation some years ago about, like basically world SFF. And it was really tough finding like actual books written by women that had been translated into English from like all across the world. And it's like, because I made a list of stuff that I was interested in. And then I was like, these are just white men.
Yeah, and like I was trying to do specifically SFF, but it got to the point with some of them where it's just like I'm using Norway as an example because I've literally like have not been able to find stuff.
Yeah.
So
Rachel, I tagged Rachel in a tweet a while back of somebody who's been keeping a spreadsheet of as many translated works as they possibly could keep track of.
I was looking at that, and that's how I found a couple of things, but like.
Still
Norway.
And I mean that spreadsheet I think is just SFF because it's Rachel Cordasco's and she does SF in translation.
Yeah.
If you're interested in Nordic like SFF in translation or like in general, Salla Simukka, I can put her name in the chat. Salla Simukka has a middle grade book that's coming out.
Yeah, that would be great. And then like some of them like Chile. So like Argentina like actually has like a decent SFF scene with some women authors in translation, but like Chile is nothing. So I'm just taking the easy way out and putting Isabel Allende because I couldn't like find.
Yeah. And the thing is, then, are you doing just novels, or might you be doing short stories as well? Because there's like a Brazilian author, and I'm forgetting their last name. I don't have my spreadsheet up, but yeah, I'm also doing short stories. Yeah, because the magazine that won the SF in translation like reader award or something this year was a magazine that publishes like Latin American authors.
Yeah.
But I kind of assumed you already knew about that.
I've been poking around in that one.
Yeah. Anyway, I made myself hungry.
The book I mentioned is called Sisterland.
Okay.
All right. I think that concludes our agenda for today.
Yep. I'm hungry. I need to go eat something.
I'm so hungry.
Who is the next one to host a Stitch and Bitch? Is it Claire?
Is it my turn? I need to do some research because last time I tried streaming on my channel, it super didn't work with other people and hangouts on air and stuff. Recently, it looked like it would work, so I've got to do some like basically just testing with various browsers and that. So likely it's going to be on my channel. If I can make it work, I would like to make it work. But if not, it might be elsewhere. And we will let you know.
Yeah,
we will.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.